And you can check out the inside if you want. But it's all just a bit dark in there.
Oh,
well, I suppose if you were really examining something in detail, you'd want to take a look.
I didn't
so
look
you have
inside.
actually done the inside surface.
Well, not me personally, no. This is from a superb group called the Global Digital Heritage. I'll mention them a bit because they do some wonderful work. American charity in Florida, I think, but they sort of do European field trips and get arrangements with various European museums to do the digitization for them.
Is it available in Sketchfab?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
look up.
I mean, available for download, not just to.
Yes, they are really good of a charity. They make all their stuff completely available publicly.
That's nice.
So they do both the small stuff and the large, which is
for those of you
very
who just
useful.
came in, you can come on down for just a moment or two and check out, because we'll be starting here in a second, and check out this beautiful wine cup, a great example of photogrammetry. So come on down. Stage is open. Walk all the way around it and walk inside of it so you can see the inside of the bowl as well. So come on down and check it out. So come on down. Look at all these shy people. Come on down. Walk inside. It's hello. It's fascinating. I love the detail of the cracks of all of that. So come on down.
Yeah, it just shows you, I mean, if over the cracks and the tiny sort of dots they've done around it, the detailing on the actual figures is wonderful because you can see sharp lines on the clothing of the, well, those figures that have clothing, of course.
That is beautiful.
If you're a satyr, you don't have clothing. Is it a satyr or is he the great god Pan? Probably just a satyr.
Probably, yes. I don't think the Pan played the flute, but I'm not sure.
Well, different beliefs on that one. Okay, how are we doing for people and time?
I think that we are ready to get started here. I am so thrilled that
he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to welcome everyone here. I'm going to mute the audience here so we can get going. I am so excited that you are here, and we're going to be turning on the stage blocker. So Ramonberg, if you could back up, you won't be thrown across the room. Or you can be. It's kind of fun. Thanks. All right. Whoops. Sorry. Just caught your edge. I didn't mean to. All right. I want to welcome you all here. We are, Educators in VR are so thrilled to have Mark Jeffcock here to share on photogrammetry. I have just a few quick announcements to make, and then we're going to get right down to business and have him blow our minds with this beautiful thing. So come on in. You don't have to sit around the back row. Come on down, because you will want to see what the slides and what he's going to be talking about, because this is groundbreaking work to take history or apply it. Imagine bringing something in to teach math or geometry or science, or, you know, there's my nature, conservatism, climate change. There's so many possibilities to capture the reality and bring this in. And we have a group called that has just started forming here with Educators in VR, a team project led by, I don't see Shirley in here, but we have Lita and myself and now I forgot what Shirley's Valkyrie, Valkyria, and we are going to be meeting starting December 3rd. We're going to be meeting regularly to discuss VR, AR, XR in historical and cultural preservation topics. So get ready for that. And this is just a teaser of the possible here. Next week, Educators in VR has our monthly social. So make sure it's a holiday social. You don't want to miss it. We're going to have this in a really fun place, courtesy of Virtual World Society, I hope. Or we may have it here. No, we're going to be having it here. So we're going to be having it here. And outside with a beautiful tree and all kinds of fun things. We also, Educators in VR is sponsoring, is a part of the sponsoring a team for the collaborative community project here on storytelling. And we are encouraging our members and everyone, and that includes you, to create an event and share an original or public domain story about the holidays, about Hanukkah, about Christmas, about holidays in general, whatever it is. We want to fill AltSpace with story. And if you are an educator, this is a chance to drag in some class, your students to have them do a story, do storytelling in VR. Very simple 30-minute events, hour events, whatever you want to do. There's information on our website at educatorsinvr.com and on our Discord and also in our Facebook group. So please jump on board. We'd love to have Phil story. I mean, come on, we're all in most of us are back in self-isolation or still struggling with or have never left. And it's a great chance to connect with friends and family and share your story. We also have the Univirtual coming up in February, which is 28-day. We're calling it an experience. It's part festival, it is part conference, and we are going to be having some amazing presentations for 28 days in February. So get ready for more news on that coming up. I'd like to also remind you that we have a very popular Discord channel and a Facebook group and other groups. So you can follow all of those that are right over there on the other side of this beautiful wine cup and catch up on what's going on. Now, Mark, it's all yours. Everyone, please welcome Mark
Hi,
Jeffcock.
guys.
Yay!
Just move around occasionally or throw up an emoji so I know you're still alive. Hi, where am I? Oh, I'm big behind me. What a good photograph it is, or rather, AltSpace has done a grand job. My avatar looks exactly like me. Here I am. I've had a career mostly with databases, working in the UK, Reuters, British Telecom, a few places you haven't heard of as well, Perkament Infoline. Currently with Save for Children for the last 15 years or so, but I'm sort of winding down my career there. Don't tell them, they don't know yet. But I now have a part-time job tutoring for Nicholas Barone's CS in VR, or occasionally called TryUniverse, where he teaches world building and Unity, C#, and moving into developing VR applications as well. Good thing to show. Up here, I'm standing in front of Colchester's water tower. Colchester's water tower, built by the Victorians. They didn't think small, they thought very big. It's an enormous 40-meter million brick construct, sadly no longer used. And this is a primitive type of photogrammetry in the background. So it is a model, we can go and visit it. But it's a very simple type of photogrammetry. It's basically the guy who did it built the model in 3D and then took photos of the water tower from every direction and splattered the photo onto the model. It's fairly effective, surprisingly so. You have a problem with that technique that you usually can't do the roof correctly, so he does what everybody does and steals a photo from Google Earth and flats it on the top. But we are going to do a little bit more complicated type of photogrammetry than that, not the simple stuff.
All right, Mark, I want to, as you start going, I want everyone in room 1 to say hello to room 2. So everybody shoot up some awesome hearts and let everybody welcome everyone here to this room. We have 2 rooms going. Thanks.
Oh,
Yay!
Okay, so I did look up what the definition of photogrammetry is, and the dictionaries haven't caught up with the real world. The original definition of photogrammetry was measuring things by taking photographs. It was like you took a picture of a mountain and said, it's 5 miles away, I'm standing here, I take this picture, I'll measure how big it comes up and compare it with a known hill, and we'll work out the size of a mountain that way. But now it's all about creating 3D models. So photogrammetry, basically, it's taking lots of photographs and processing it through a computer and producing a 3D model. When I say a lot of photographs, some of these can be really a lot. The guy who did this statue, you can see every blue position up there is a camera position that he used to take a photograph of. Around the bottom here, we can see a selection of the photos he took. He's going to feed all of those into one computer program, which will produce him his piece of photogrammetry, like the one we have here. This probably wasn't all the photos he took. If it was probably a bad piece of photogrammetry. I'll explain why later, but he hasn't done it at different angles. He only seems to have done it at one level, and that's not quite the right way of doing things. Okay, so here are a few examples. And I wanted to show this as a fact that you can do different sizes of things. So up there is a jug done by the same people who did the Skyphos in the corner. It's a group called Global Digital Heritage. They're a non-profit organization based in based in Florida. And they seem to have European tours, or at least they did, and they work with museums in Europe to digitize the items in museum, and the one over there were all items from Sicily. And we'll do a bit more about Sicily later on, because the joy of it is they do small items, but they also do large spaces as well, rooms or indeed whole buildings. And that's the point. You can do larger and larger things. So that's just a jug. This guy is from Colchester Museum of a tombstone that was found buried in Colchester. This one at the top is one of mine. This is of Colchester's Roman wall. During medieval times, they weren't particularly interested in the Roman wall heritage. The walls had stopped having a defensive reason, so they built their houses right up against the Roman wall, because that meant you only had to build 3 walls rather than 4. And somebody tunneled in their own fireplace into the Roman wall. If you go inside that, there's a chimney that goes up there as well. The house is gone now, but we've still got the chimney area. This one over here is Colchester's old priory. Colchester has a good history of letting everything go to ruin and then stealing all the stone from it. So all the good stone has been stolen here, but the inside of the columns was still left. The guy who did this took 600 photographs with a normal camera just on the ground. He didn't do anything aerial or cunning like that. He just went around it, took 600 photographs and processed them. And this one was done by a guy with a drone. And processed every sort of 10th frame that came out of his drone video that he took going over it. I've made this into a world called Tantollon Castle. It's physically, you feel like you're in a space about 300 meters across. Loses a little bit of definition because it's so big. Lovely castle, wonderful idea by some frugal Scottish clan, the Red Douglases. They said, you know, it really costs a lot to build a castle, and can we make it defensive enough? So what they did, they found a peninsula, which was sort of square, and they just built one big wall for their castle and just said, nobody's going to attack us up these cliffs, so we're going to be safe on that side, so we can just build a thicker wall there. Very cunning, and indeed worked. It survived a couple of sieges quite well. Okay, so you can do multiple scale. Now, trying to think about what you as educators might want to get out of photogrammetry. I'm particularly interested in the history side and the archaeology side, but you may have different topical areas which are more useful. But the things you can get out are the visual accuracy is better. Altspace and most of these social spaces tend to, I'm afraid, give us a slightly cartoonish look. But with photogrammetry, you are getting something pretty close to real world. It's not precise yet. You know, the lighting may be a bit off, but you can get a great level of detail. Then the other thing is you can get that full of presence there. I've been lucky enough to go to this mosaic in Sicily, which was exactly the same place as these items here, which, as people pointed out, seem much more Greek than we do Roman. But this was a Roman villa in Sicily, which got abandoned and then covered by a landslide, so it's in amazingly good state of preservation. And when we dug it out, they've got maybe 30 or so rooms with beautiful mosaics like this one. Now, you can't go and stand in that room anymore because your feet would destroy it. But so you get a sort of view in from the door when you go and visit it in Sicily. But in virtual reality, I can go and wander all over the top of it. And then I wanted to, for the second half of this talk, I will talk about the fact that you can create this yourself. This is not just a specialist area. This is something that you could do or your students could do, depending on the sophistication of your students and whether they've got a digital camera, and they've all got a digital camera because they all carry a telephone, and whether you can get a computer about at the sort of level of a gaming PC. Okay, so let's move on and go for advanced ideas. Little video, I think. So here we are in Sicily, where the tourist department overjoyed to have a mosaic which they can call Tangos in bikinis. Well, frankly, they can't count because she's in a sort of a dress, and one of them is completely lost to time. But I suppose that's 8 girls in bikinis, and the joy of this room is that in the virtual reality I can stand on it, which you can't in real life, and the visuals are good enough that you can get quite close and see the individual mosaics, details of this victor's crown that this lady has for being such a good athlete. So, this is that mixture of a sense of presence and the visual accuracy that you can get in the world. Let's try somewhere else. This is a priory, a ruined priory in Colchester. Assuming you never come to Colchester, you can at least wander through our gorgeous ruin, which was built with leftover Roman bricks and stone. And you have that, even though you're in Altspace, you've got that feeling of being here, in that you can go along and between things. Okay, I just did it as a short little video there. So I've been a bit enthusiastic here, but there are always downsides. So let's take a look at the big downside, and the big downside is my worlds are always too big. So Altspace would like you to produce 10 megabyte worlds. I never managed to produce a 10 megabyte world. They're always too big. Big red X down there. Tantollon Castle was 35 megabytes. There are techniques you can use to try and shrink it, but it's a payoff. Do you want it to look as accurate as possible, or do you want to reduce the size? It's not quite as bad as Altspace will make out, because they are quite capable of supporting worlds which are larger than 10 megabytes, but it's longer to load up and get into the world. And I've used up all of my margin for error. I've built the world larger than it should be, but that means I can't really do any special effects. Say, Leader's Athens Agora type world has lots of nice running animations and sound effects and multiple objects in that. If I did that sort of thing in this world, it just couldn't cope. All I've got is a sort of static visual there. But at least you get to wander around nicely. In time, I suppose, the size restrictions may become less, and we'll get away without it. But other than that, you have to be very careful about sizing. Okay, so as I said, the second half of this, I just want to push home to you that it's perfectly possible for everybody to do this. I've given this a similar talk to this to a set of students. I live in the UK. I did this quite late in the evening, gave the talk. I woke up the next day, looked on Discord, and 2 people had gone out and had already produced their own pieces of photogrammetry. There's stacks and stacks and stacks of software which are trying to fight the space to make this easy to do. They're not aimed at educators in particular. They're usually aimed at real estate agents because they say, oh, real estate agents, why don't you recreate your house and sell it to people because they don't want to go and view it directly. But all of these can produce photogrammetry. All of them have been stupid enough to produce their own file format, which is always incompatible with everybody else's file format. This is the way of computing everywhere. The example I'm going to give uses this one here, photospheres, mainly because they're free, wonderful word, but also because they have a very good set of training videos that we can use. Okay. All right, so basics. Take lots of photographs. Really, take lots. The good news is you can just do it with a normal digital camera. It doesn't have to be a really, really expensive camera. I use a camera which was a medium level camera from about 4 years ago, but modern phones can take enough megapixels for this. So you could do it with a phone. Anything from 8 megapixels upwards, I would say. And the cunning thing is what you have to do is to make sure the photos overlap and that you get multiple angles. So the guy here, where every position is a camera, probably overdone it considering he's only doing one photograph of a shoe, but he's done it at 3 different angles, a high level, a medium and a low level. That's essential because you're doing 3D modeling. You don't want to do it all in one plane. You want to get different angles and then do all the way around everything. Okay, so real life example. This is one that I did of a mural in Colchester by some artists in the 1970s. Said, oh, we can make murals out of concrete, and they've survived quite well. So I went and took my photographs. Blue dots are the positions of the camera. When I took my photographs, I took, what was it, 28 photographs at different heights and different, in a sort of semicircle around this mural. And then I copied the photos into my computer, that 3D Zephyr software. And the first thing you do, you press the button saying, give me a rough guide, and it works out where your camera was when you took the photos. And then you go, next stage, please, produce me a sparse point cloud. And what it does, it says, well, I think roughly speaking, I'll put something here, 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 and it produces it all in dots. So you can see it's done a bit of blue around there because it sees there's some blue there, it sees there's 3 panels, and it's not totally sure about what's going on around it. Elsewhere, some bricks above it, maybe. Okay, so just working our way through the software, the various stages. The next one, it produces the same thing in dots, but it's a dense point cloud. You can still see at the edge there are lots of dots. When you produce your dense point cloud, it's probably the time to go and get yourself a beverage of your choice because it will eat up your computer time. You kick it going and it says, ooh, maybe 10 minutes. So you can go off, have a coffee, and then come back and take a look at what it's produced. What I should have done at that stage was probably tidy it up a little bit because it's got really ragged around the edges. It doesn't quite know what to do. And the next stage was actually produce a mesh and a texture, which if those of you who know any Unity would know that's pretty well the basics of what your model is. And as you can see down here, it got confused and did a curl to what is actually a white wall at that stage. So I should have sliced it off, but I didn't bother to do that. just producing something quite quick. And that was my software bit over with. I could export it. I stuck it up to Sketchfab, and Sketchfab is definitely the best source at the moment for people who just want a public piece of photogrammetry. Anybody who's doing photogrammetry, which they're going to release to people, seem to be putting it onto Sketchfab. The Skyfox was just brought down from Sketchfab, as was the 10 Girls in Bikinis room. So it's available there. What have I got there? There it is. And after this little talk, those who would like, come with me and we can actually go and see the photogrammetry in a different room. This was a garden, again, near where I live, where I had to did go around and take the photographs in a complete circle. I had a bit of trouble getting it from right height, and I probably was a bit too enthusiastic about the space I was going to do, so I've got the odd hole or two here. Not ideal. So it's in Sketchfab. There's a well-trodden route of being able to download from Sketchfab into Unity, and from Unity up into AltSpace. And that's where we have all the photogrammetry examples I've shown today. And that was sort of it, really. There should be a big bit here saying questions, but that seems to be missing. But it's time to ask questions. So
All
give
right,
us a shot. Let's see what I can do.
Yay! So first of all, big round of applause. We're going to get to questions, but big round of applause. You make it look too easy. Mark, you make it look way too easy.
It is easy.
I don't believe you.
Pressing buttons.
Lots of buttons, 600 photographs. Yeah. Wow. And so we have some questions already just lining up. This is so exciting. Drones. I want to talk about, when a drone, they have drones now that go around and they take the photographs. And you mentioned about going around and not having a single plane of,
Yeah, you've got to do it at different angles, because if you don't, if they'd done that cut just at one angle, just from looking above, then you wouldn't see the lovely, the lovely rim underneath. So they've had to shoot from that angle and shoot from above, and from the inside, they had to shoot down. So you've got to be sure.
Novices, you've got to get all of the angles. So from a novice perspective, how does the software know how to line them all up? I just see myself spending 600, 1 minute, 10 minutes with each photograph to put it in place. It figures it out?
It figures it out. I'm surprised how well it figures it out. Sometimes it needs help. But basically, it makes a presumption that that the photo number 2 is photo number 1 moved around a bit. So it says, it must be close. It must be somewhere between photo 1 and photo 3. So it puts works out from the camera position photo 2 and then works it out that way. So it is wise to do it systematically. Okay. So I tend to have a very low tripod and then do 15 shots with a low tripod, 15 shots with a medium tripod, and another 15 with a top level one.
Okay, all right, that makes more
sense. And then if you do have an extra couple of shots, then the software will do something like, well, could you tell me which camera that shot was close to? And then it can work out a bit from there.
Okay, that makes much more sense. Okay, my stress level just went down because I want to do this so badly, and I was like, I don't have time for 600 photographs. So
no. Well, think smaller. Remember, I'm doing mine with less than 50 photographs. Okay. Because the free software I'm using can only take 50 photographs. So get away with 50.
All right, wonderful. All right, Keely.
Yes,
I need you to hit amplify your voice and also on air.
Okay, I believe I am on both.
We'll hear your question, Keely.
Highlighted. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, awesome.
Okay, Keely, you need to be on air. We can't hear you in room 2.
Okay, how about now?
Waiting for Keely.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, then if not, then oh, there she is. All right,
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Go for it.
Okay, awesome.
I can hear you in room 1.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for doing this, Mark, because it's such an amazing session. Like Llewellyn was asking that question too. That was one of my questions, so I'm glad that was answered. The next question I have is you mentioned cleaning up in the software. Is that really difficult to do? Do we need to know like advanced 3D modeling, or is it just like simple brushes or something?
Okay, so I'm only at the simple level of cleaning up. So most of my
Okay.
cleaning up is in fact throwing away. It's looking at a bit like it where it's obviously got something wrong and saying no, it can't possibly, the wall couldn't possibly be there, so I'm going to cut you out. For most of it, what I do is just blocking off what I want to see and saying that's ideal. So I've got away without doing a great deal of cleaning up. I believe there are much more complicated techniques for that, but I haven't really investigated, and I don't have that 3D or photographic skill to go that way. But you can produce beautiful results with just the basics.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. I think after this, I'm gonna go grab an object and take pictures of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, it's what is it now? It's coming up for 9:30. Just drop me, put something on the Educators in VR Discord tomorrow morning, and I can see how many of you produced.
Brilliant!
I love it.
Accept the
Like
challenge.
Challenge accepted. I have to find
All right.
something.
So drop that. I will set that for our weekly discussion, and so drop it in the weekly discussion section so we can kind of have a little bit of order in there. Beautiful. Thank you, Keely.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see who is up next. Is Jamie LGBT.
Hello. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. I arrived late, so apologise if I already asked something which you've already gone over. But I saw the Colchester garden, sensory garden at the end there, and I'm just wondering the most effective way to do a site rather than an actual object.
I think the problem with the natural objects is the scale, really. This technique would certainly work on nature. It would work on a plant perfectly well. But when you scale up to say, I'd like to do a garden, then your resolution isn't good enough to capture something which is a stalk of a plant. So I've tended to use 3D photography in the Colchester Sensory Garden, and it was just the big blocky items that worked quite well with photogrammetry.
Is 3D photography completely different to photogrammetry?
Absolutely. So, Laurel can invite me back to do 3D photography.
Absolutely, you better.
Completely different talk on that. I only wanted to do one project today.
I'm ordering, Mark.
I obey the mother of Altspace. Yes.
Whoa.
God, I can't stand that laughter.
Oh, okay, so I'm sorry to disappoint you on that one. It's probably not good enough to do a large nature space. You could do a small plant without any problems, but for a large nature space, I think you may be wanting to look for different techniques.
Okay.
But try and find Colchester Sensory Garden on Altspace and take a look. I've done 3D photography in little hemispheres in that one, and it did bring out the plants quite well.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for your answer. Appreciate it.
All right, fabulous. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, next up is Mossy. Will Moss, you're up.
Hi there. How you doing? I'm actually a student of Mark's in his VR and Unity class, and he's an excellent teacher. I just wanted to ask, what's your opinion then? Do you think that Altspace is the best place to show this stuff? Because it seems to me it has the advantage of being easily accessible, and you can get, you can bring people in. But I feel like sometimes the resolution takes a bit of a hit coming into Altspace. Is there any other platforms that you've used to show this stuff, or you think Altspace is the best?
I haven't used another platform. Of comparable ability will be VR chat, but the other ones don't take in this sort of quality of stuff.
Mark, we're
so
having
you could
trouble
use-
hearing you. You might want to
Oh.
adjust your headset again.
Okay, well, that's not a great deal I could do unless you want me to re-enter.
No, it was just audio. You just got really quiet.
Oh, okay. I'll
Okay. Now you're better.
I should
All right.
be
Just want to
okay.
make sure you're still on
Right.
microphone. All right.
So it should, VR chat can take a similar sort of size to Altspace, but Altspace is for grown-ups, guys. It's just how it works. So I prefer people who are going to appreciate this. As far as I know, VR chat, it will be difficult to get the same event type audience or to be able to lead people around it quite so well. The other stuff, I don't know of any other social space which can take in these sort of Unity models easily.
How about app creation? So I guess if you could create your own apps with these sort of things, and then
Yes,
and people
yes.
would have to load them up. But
Good point, and you probably got a little bit more space in that because your app is taking over the complete headset, whereas
Now we hear you.
I did lose megaphone for a moment.
Okay,
There. I don't know where
there.
that went.
That's all right.
If you were doing your own app, you've got all of the memory in the headset, so you could get a larger model in there. I do have. I'm creating my own VR app at the moment just to learn the techniques, and I've got about 3 small villages in it, which I probably couldn't do in Altspace because that would almost certainly overrun the space allowance in Altspace.
thank you.
It is quite the challenge to try to streamline things down so it does fit in here, but there are ways of finding balancing. So if you have it, the least, if you're going to bring it into Unity, into Altspace, you can drop it in Unity or you can bring it as a kit. If you're working with a really, really low grade, very small skybox and things like that, you can play a math game and make it work better. But we're hoping that with, unfortunately, we're losing the Oculus Go is going away the first week of December, at least from the Oculus Store. We're not sure how long that's going to last here in Altspace. The next big update, support will go away. But as sad as that is moving us up into higher level, more capable devices. And the more capable devices, the higher the quality of things that we can do in here. Because Altspace can handle it. It's not about Altspace, it's about your devices. So just letting you know, it is about the device you come in with, because they want to support Quest and as well as, higher end, Vive and stuff like that. So it's about the device. All right, let's get into the next question. Great question. Thank you. Steph, you are up, my friend. Steph.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was really admiring those hemispheres that you made. And I was wondering, is there any particular trick to doing that one should know, or is it pretty straightforward?
Which world did you look at them in?
I've seen a couple of them, so Sudbury?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, there is a trick. You need a particular type of sphere called an inverted sphere. So I have scattered links to it around in various discords. I can put one in the Educators in VR Discord resources.
Oh, thank you.
Section as well.
Yeah, under the cultural heritage, that would be brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or actually, no, under create, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Yeah. And I'm pulling together some of the links to some of the things you've been talking about. So let's add it and we're going to put it on our website because this is amazing. I just love this. All right, Steph, was there anything more? Oh, she muted. Okay. All right, next up. Wow, all these patient people waiting. It's just beautiful. We have a ton of questions. Robert, Moxie Rocks, you're up. You got a question?
You have a question here for
Mark?
Yes. Okay. So there's been some photogrammetry that we've lost, like display land and some other things. Do you think that? Can you? Is there a way you could put that graphic back that had all the different things that you could use? Yeah, that one.
Hold on. Back here?
No, the next one, I think. The one that had all the different programs that you could use to create the photogrammetry. Yeah, let me take a picture.
Little bundle there.
Yeah. Great, thank you. And also, can you talk about the process of getting it into Unity and having it a quality image once it's into Unity, so it's not like gray?
Okay. Getting into Unity is not a severe problem. Unity has a plugin for pulling things down from Sketchfab, and that works really well. Your problems after that are more around lighting it and trying to figure out if you need to reduce the size at all. And reducing the size of photogrammetry is actually quite difficult. You can do reduction of the textures, and I've reduced the texture on this one. If you get quite close, you can see it's slightly pixelated around this satyr here. Oh, Dave. Had a chip taken out of a vital part of his anatomy. Bad luck, mate. So that reduces the size. There are other techniques for reducing the size of 3D objects, but they don't work terribly well with photogrammetry. If you reduce the size of the mesh, then you've quite often discovered that your photogrammetry have many meshes, and they no longer join up together. So the techniques for reducing size are quite tricky, which is why if I have to do a course on this, we'll probably spend a week on just trying different things for size reduction. But then after that, I said it's a plugin to get things from Sketchfab down to Unity, and it's another plugin that moves things from Unity up to AltspaceVR. So that bit isn't that difficult once you've got your hand in.
Love it. All right, Robert, anything more? Okay, I guess not. All right. Next up is Adam. Thank you for waiting so patiently. Adam.
Thanks. That was a really fantastic talk, especially joined with the journalism presentation a few weeks ago. I think these together work really, really well. I wondered whether, so in the arches, like in the photos where you have arches and things, I always see that photogrammetry, they show people taking photos around an object. What happens if you do around and then under and through? Do the photos all stitch together?
It's going to be how good is the software, I think. Oh, hold on. Lost my amplifier again. That's going to be how good is the software, really. So I said I'm using that 3D Zephyr. I think that's a relatively simple version, but it's got better over time. The guy who did the Abbey is using Reality. I don't think I've even got that up there. Oh no, but I think he's using that Capturing Reality one. Maybe not. They tend to use the same sort of names inside them. And he obviously had to do things like different positions. I have another visual somewhere of all the camera positions used to capture a bridge, and they were scattered everywhere. He just couldn't get a consistent set of places to take photographs, so he had to take them from lots of places. I think they will probably have to work harder in the software to say, yes, my camera was here for that one. Whereas if you do it consistently, the software can work it out itself. As we mentioned earlier about the possibility of doing it with videos or drones, you get a drone to take a constant video at a few different positions, different heights, and then you just take slices out of the video and say, oh, that's a good shot, that's a good shot, that's a good shot, and link them all together.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, let's see. I'm looking through the list here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right, Adam, thank you. Next up is Spirit LED or LED? Spirit, LED or LED?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Spirit led. Thank you.
LED. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this has been a really interesting talk. So thank you guys very much for this presentation. My question, because I have limited experience with photogrammetry and creating models, but there are some objects that I was interested that had reflective surfaces. So you could think of like glass or something like that. So maybe there's like a sculpture or something that you want to capture. Have you ever run into that, like wanting to capture something that has reflective surfaces, and is there a way to treat the surface, like, I don't know, like using a powder or something to reduce the reflective nature of it so that you can actually get photos that the computer can, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we're a touch out of my expertise. Here, I haven't tried to do anything on particularly shiny surfaces. It should still work, but it wouldn't translate into Unity terribly well. So that's one of the times where you might have to do some additional work in Unity to say, well, this is my model, and I want that texture to be a shiny one as well. And that's additional bit of processing that you could do in Unity. So you'd have to do a sort of work on to think about how you wanted to model it afterwards as well, how you wanted to do your post-processing. Tricky question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that answer. Thank you very much.
All right. I just love this. We are learning so much. Thank you. Marsha Cross. Sorry, Marsha.
A different one? Oh, yeah. Good day.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, come on down.
Well, I'm fine here.
Okay.
My question is, if you're on a Quest with a 64 gig headset, do you need a larger headset, a large gigabyte headset to do the bigger worlds? Does it download into your headset, or does it stay on the computer until you bring it up?
It is downloading stuff into your headset. It doesn't matter that you're 64 gig rather than the 256, because that's in effect the equivalent of your disk space. What matters is the in-memory, and all of the Quests the Quest 2s have 6 megabytes, is it? And the Quest 1 has 4, but they're sort of geared to supporting your screen size. So the mobiles are going to struggle more than the PC. PC can is still got stacks more ability to grab memory, or put a cache out to the disk if necessary. So you'll be able to go into those worlds and not have a problem on PC. But on Quest or Quest 2, you might still have some struggling issues, and AltspaceVR seems to be changing things around, trying to optimize every now and again. Only the other day, I started getting a poor effect in my Colchester Hub world with the mural that I had there, and that was due to them changing some values around. It's quite difficult to, there are some odd things that go on when you try and display the photogrammetry. There's a thing called Z fighting, which means that if it's rather oddly, if you're close up to it, you can see it quite well, but if you're a long way off, then the headset starts struggling to think, oh, is it there, or is there something behind it, or is there something in front of it? And it struggles with that, and you might lose the frames per second down quite a bit. If you get that sort of effect, rather oddly, I suggest you go closer to the piece of photogrammetry rather than backing away from it.
So if you're using a how do I put this? I'm fairly new, so with this all. So if I have a Quest 2 and I use a PC computer with Unity installed, is there a way I can still use my Quest 2 but have all my worlds sitting on the computer and then bring them up later when I want them?
Well,
Or does
majority
it have to go in the headset?
No, it doesn't have to go in the headset. If you you can use your Quest with a wire, with a link cable to your PC, so you can get the bigger processing power of the PC. But hey, all the grunt work is really done by AltspaceVR. Unity is just used to push it up into AltspaceVR, and they're hosting it on presumably some enormous Microsoft servers somewhere, and giving it all back to us for free. You know, I'm a generous folks. Nice people they are in AltspaceVR.
So I just want to add just a little bit. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Kudos on AltspaceVR. We get all of this for free. It's amazing. When you build in Unity and then you import it in, you can import things in two ways. As a template, which then it becomes the world, so to speak. So right now we're in a template with this building and the walls and everything and the floor and seats and things. Then you can add things to that world through the world editor. You can also create a kit and bring things in. And so this cup, this wine cup over here is in a kit and it's been brought in. And so far, I don't know about room 1 crashes, but so far it's been holding really well. You did a beautiful job scaling it down for size so it would fit in here. And so there's a lot of complication. And here's one little tip before we go to our next question, just on world building, because it kind of relates. When you build a world, you can use kits, you can use all kinds of things, plus the template. Every time you put one item from one kit in a world, the entire kit loads into your headset. So be aware that you may have only
small.
Keep your kits small because in file size, because it loads in everything and it's more just kits load into your headset. So I hope that helps with some of the understanding of this. And do check out the Wednesday World Building Tours. We go into much more detail about that, as well as our once a month, we're now hosting educational world tours here in AltSpace to take you to some of these beautiful worlds. We've done Mark's wonderful worlds. The bikinis, I think, are on the next one that we have planned. And so you can walk on the mosaic that he demonstrated on there. Do you want to flip that back on the slide so people can see what I'm talking about? And then, thank you, Mark. So do check those out, and we will be talking about all those details as well. But check out that mosaic. Isn't that gorgeous? So, that's brought in with photogrammetry. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the video of YouTube downscaling it, you can see much better when you actually go and visit the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's up next?
But you are up now. Armed Yogi, which is Avid. I can't say Avid.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Wivdi, hello.
Yeah, you're a bit quiet.
Yeah, if you can make sure that you have your microphone adjusted on your device so we can hear you.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now? Is it audible?
Sort of.
That's good enough.
But we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So here I'm representing India, and I'm Avi Dwivedi. My name is Avi Dwivedi, and I run India's biggest community of XR, AR, VR, virtual reality, augmented reality. So my question to you is, I have the experience of doing photogrammetry with drones. So we captured a hotel, the outside of hotel, and we captured that with the drones. But usually we are running the community for students, so they probably don't have all those money to research and invest in. So what are the most cheapest possible ways of doing the photogrammetry, and best lighting equipments, best camera equipments, and most probably the free 3D softwares? Last time we used the paid software, but what are the best free options for students to do this research? Because I run a student community and they definitely need it.
I'm still. Yeah, okay. So the cheapest way to do the photography is to think really cheap. All you need is a digital camera. Don't go overboard with anything else. Better if you've got a tripod to go with it, so that you can get your camera position at a regular, consistent level when you're going round. One of the tiny ones so that you can do it from a low level, or a very high one so you can do it from a high one and angle it down. Maybe being able to do your camera remotely with a phone is useful. But frankly, you could use a phone to take over shots. So don't worry too much about the camera. Don't worry about the lighting at all. You just need to think about when you're going to take the shots of anything. Do it in a short time period so that the sunlight angles don't change too much. Try to get something with a bit of even lighting, but even that doesn't matter. A couple of the things I've done have been in quite sharp lighting, so you just get the shadow captured on the object you produce as well. The software, I think, Laurel, I can also give a link to a website that did a comparison of about 12 or so different free bits of photogrammetry software. So the best I can say is that you'd have to take a look at that and then work your way through and see what works for you. I've said I use the one called 3DF Zephyr, and it's worked very well for me, mainly because it has such a good set of training videos that go with it. But yeah, get your students going with it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. It's totally helping. Yeah. And it was
okay.
An awesome
So find yourself up on the Discord channel, so I can post in some more details into that.
Yep. Awesome.
Oh, have we finally run out of questions? Wow. Hello? Oh, Laurel seems to be having some problems.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm always having problems lately with my internet. All right. Well, basically, what we want to do is I'm going to check here. We just have 3 more minutes left of the event. We could go on for hours here. And I'm checking. There's too many people in room 2 to merge the rooms together. So for those that are here in room 2, and I'm going to blank myself out. So if you see me disappear just for a second, I'll be back. If you see me in the room still, you'll know that you're in room 2. So hold on. All right, so now I'm back in both rooms. So for those of you who are in room 2, if you try to re-enter the event as fast as you can, you may end up back in room 1. I do hope so. But what we're going to do is turn off the stage blocker, and we're both going to open up the microphones, and Mark and I are going to get off the megaphone, and we'd like you to wander around the cup and directly answer questions. For those of you who are in room 2, I will stay here and try to answer a few of your questions. I will go off air so that Mark is in charge of that room, along with his beautiful helpers, Lita and Keely and Steph and whoever else is helping out. And but I'm very sorry you can't talk to Mark unless you're in the first room. So for the rest of you, try to re-enter in room 2. Those of you in room 1, have fun. All right, Mark, off megaphone, off on air, all yours, and thank you. Okay.
Hi, guys. Okay, is the stage blocker off? Come on up and have a close look.
Dude, it's amazing. It's totally awesome. You can see this scan from
Photogrammetry you make when you bring it in from Unity. Either you choose to have it solid with a thing called a collider on it so that it can't go in, or you choose that you can walk through it. And this will be handy. There's nothing actually much on the inside of this one. It's just a dark
it from the inside.
space, but you can see that in some.
Hey, it's very cute from the inside too.
Be able to see from the inside as well.
Cool. And I like how you can
Cool.
see the handle like standing underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, it is a 3D model. It is exactly, is as close to the shape that the software can get it.